My name is Glenn Maggio. Thank you for joining us today for today's Lunch and Learn. Today's presentation will demonstrate, presentation and demonstration will focus on the advantages of the advanced electronic forms and how the courts can benefit from them. A little bit about us. ImageSource is a premier ECM provider that's been providing process improvement solutions for over 20 years in both the private and the public sectors. We are also an approved partner of the Judicial Council of California to work with the courts to provide cost savings and time saving solutions. Today's educational presentation will focus on some of the pains associated within the courts in dealing with the process of paper-based court forms and how we have helped the courts address the issues. Courts have invested in case management systems designed to track fines, fees, and restitutions along with the ongoing status and dates of each court event. Where many case management systems fall short is in the managing and recording and the integration of the associated paper-based forms within the court. Currently, when a case is heard in the court, clerk must record the witness testimony, trial results, court orders, and any fines or settlements from the proceedings. In many cases, the process is done on paper and then shuffled around the courtroom to be signed off by lawyers, plaintiffs, and defendants, and then passed on to the judges for final review and signatures before the entire batch is filed within the case management system. Studies within courts have shown that on average, a single form is handled 14 times from generation to its final archives. It can cost up to 24 times more to process than digital forms. Paper-based forms can be prone to errors and at times illegible. They can be time-consuming to process, approval, and file, while offering no direct integration with the case management system. When the implementation of eForms, this entire process can be handled electronically. So what is an eForm? An eForm or electronic form is a computer-based version of a paper form, but not all eForms are created equal. For instance, a fillable PDF is a version of an electronic form. What we'll be demonstrating today and showing today is what we refer to as an advanced eForm. An advanced eForm should provide a secure, efficient, and effective way for eForms submissions and handling. It connects end users to enterprise process systems directly without human intervention in between. They should provide many powerful capabilities and time-saving features that are not available in paper-based forms. Advanced eForms are specifically designed to help reduce user errors, decrease processing time, and eliminate the cost of printing, mailing, and storing what is currently done in traditional based forms. While some case management systems do provide options for electronic forms, they are usually a static form offering limitations to what is available out of the box. And they may not offer the flexibility to customize to each unique court case. With ILINX eForms, the court not only has complete control over the form's final appearance, they also have control over how the contribution of content is presented to the users. Our forms allow you to put the most relevant, highly used fields up front. Dynamic form population allows collapsible sections that are only shown when needed. This is very beneficial so that end users are only presented with fields that are relevant to the case being heard. An advanced workflow capabilities allows movement of forms throughout the courtroom, as well as required contribution and updates to the court's case management system. In order for an eForm solution to deliver cost and time-saving improvements, they not only need to be user-friendly, they need to be dynamic, flexible, and offer some key integration components to maximize the efficiency. As mentioned before, we like to refer to this as an advanced eForm component. And since ILINX eForms can integrate with virtually any case management system, all courts can take advantage of these benefits. With eForms, you have control of the final output. For instance, the ability to map the information to pre-designed, standardized forms while simultaneously updating and linking the completed form to the court's case management system. Really, each court has their own unique requirements. I know Debbie, our project manager, has worked with several courts. Debbie, are you able to expand on some of the examples that the courts have taken advantage of?
Sure. So we've provided really an assortment of forms with the various courts that we work with, and advanced eForms are flexible enough to accommodate really a variety of requirements. So one example where eForms is a good fit is when the courts standardize on forms developed by either the state, the city, or the county. So for example, in the state of California, all the superior courts use the same basic set of forms established by the Judicial Council. And the advanced eForms work really great in this situation because they allow the contribution of data in an electronic format, but in the order that each court deems most efficient. And then the final output of the form has the Judicial Council format and design. So it looks just like the form that the state requires. And Andrew is going to provide a demo of this later on in the presentation, so you guys will get a good feel of what that looks like. Let's see, in addition to the state or county standards, some courts also have special local forms that are unique to their court process. And we've worked with courts to develop electronic versions of forms that are unique to their courtroom. Again, here the contribution of data is analyzed to provide all of the most pertinent information up front, but it still allows their desired output at the end. So whatever that local form looks like today can look the same on the output of the form. And then a final example would be utilizing eForms as a means to present critical data in kind of a concise format for judicial officers. So when I say that, what I mean is we work with one court who utilizes the advanced eForms, and they pull all the pertinent information from their case management system into a summary sheet for the judge. And then what happens here is the form is prepped prior to court with all of the applicable information, and then it's presented electronically in a consolidated manner for the judge at the start of the hearing. And generally for the judge, it provides most of the information that they need for the case that day. However, they always have all of the electronic supporting documents available as needed, but they've used this as a way to just get all the information they need for the day right up front in front of the judge. And generally that provides them a great deal of the information needed. So that's 3 different examples of eForms, kind of used in different purposes, but all are a really good fit for the advanced eForms.
Perfect. Thank you, Debbie. One of the key differentiators within the ILINX eForms offerings that I'd like to touch on is the power of the integrated workflow component. Leveraging our workflow component, eForms can be generated prior to court and waiting in a queue based on the case number or in an order that the cases are to be heard. Forms are easily routed via our advanced workflow through the courtroom between attorneys, judges, and clerks as needed, based on review requirements, signatures of the file mark stamps that may be needed. Once completed, the eForm can be routed to the appropriate case management system or released to a repository of choice, such as our own ILINX content store. Some of the advantages and cost-saving features within advanced eForm include the benefits listed here on the screen. You will also see some of these features in the demonstration that Angela will present shortly. Some of the features included in the demonstration will be a pre-fillable field that allow forms to be partially completed prior to court. This greatly improves the speed within the courtroom. Auto stamping and file marking within the eForm. Electronic capture of electronic signatures for courtroom participants. Integrations with the case management system to push and pull the data. Debbie, can you comment on a few of the key features that you find the courts getting the most out of?
Sure. There's definitely benefits to all the bullets on the screen, but some of the things that I've seen really have impact on the courts probably is accuracy improvements and then post-court processing. So I can elaborate on both of those a little bit. So for accuracy improvements, forms are populated with case information that's available in their case management system, and that really reduces errors when filling out the form because data is pulled from a consistent source of information that's accurate and, most importantly, very consistent, so it comes across in a consistent way. We've worked with courts where paper forms have to go back and forth between participants multiple times to be sure that all the content was accurate. So an example would be a form is filled out in the courtroom by an attorney or another participant, and they fill out all the relevant data, and it's then handed off to the judge. The judge reviews the data and says, oh, we missed a field, or we missed a section, or we didn't complete something completely, so it goes back. And sometimes it goes back and forth a couple times before everything is completed in the way that the judge wants it to be completed before he's going to put a signature on it. The nice thing about electronic forms is they can incorporate rules that force that accuracy, and it forces the proper data contribution. So when the form's completed, usually we see a much less movement of the forms back and forth in the courtroom. It usually gets to the judge in a completed, efficient manner with accurate information. So we've seen that be a huge benefit to the courts. Another benefit that I see is updates to the case management system. So once a form's complete in the electronic world, the metadata is pulled directly from that eForm, and we can update relevant fields in the case management system or content repository like ILINX Content Store, wherever you store your information. And what this does is it alleviates all those manual updates in the case management system required with paper forms. And we've seen just a huge labor savings in multiple courts that we've worked with by eliminating post-court processing. So when clerks leave the courtroom, they take their stack of paper forms and they have to go to their case management system and do data inputs to update everything that happened in the court that day. And we've really seen now what happens with electronic forms is that data is just pulled from the eForm and it automatically updates the case management system. So courts have been able to repurpose those employees for other more valuable tasks other than just data input, and they've seen just a huge labor savings in that area. So those are two of the things that I see as huge benefits to the courts.
Excellent, thank you. There are many deployable options available with eForms. They can be deployed internally across your network or even externally through a public website. You can allow attorneys outside of the courtroom to fill out forms made available to them via your website prior to court without direct access to your networks, if you so choose to do so. Once filled out, they can be ingested into the workflow for processing. If an attorney, judge, or clerk only needs to see a certain section of the form, we can create special views so that users only see the pertinent information required for contribution. We can lock sections of the form so that someone can view the content but is not allowed to change it. And overall, it's a very flexible application and totally up to each court and how they wish to present this information to their constituents. ILINX eForms are compatible with virtually every computing device used today, such as iPads, iPhones, Google Android, smartphones, tablets, desktops, and laptops. eForms can also be filled out offline and submitted when you reconnect it if configured for that manner as well. The platform is not limited to court-related documents either. Like many case management solution eForms offerings, they can be extended to virtually any department or process. As an example, in accounts payable, eForms can be used for purchasing or contract approvals, and human resources in areas such as vacation requests, onboarding of employees, and employee evaluation. We have also utilized the eForms to create a powerful application for handling public records requests. And with that, I'd like to pass control over to Andrew to demonstrate some of the ILINX eForm capabilities. Andrew will be taking you through a standard form used in many of the Superior Courts of California. He will show us how a user contribute content, along with some of the other time and process enhancements we've spoken about earlier during this presentation.
Hello, everybody. So first off, I wanted to start out by saying that we're in our ILINX Capture module, and we're looking at our assigned work tab. And in this tab, that's where you can see all the different elements of the workflow or batches that are moving through the system. What I have created is already 2 PDFs for output, and these are in the Judicial Council standard forms. And so this is what they look like when they're done, when they're completed, when they're filled out, signed. And I wanted to show you this first, and then take you back over to the eForm and show you how we actually get there and how we can save you time. So if I move over to our Capture tab, here is our findings in order after hearing. And as you can see, it looks way different than the actual output form. And this is great in a lot of cases because it can standardize the inputs. First off, the case number is underlined and it also has a red asterisk. The red asterisk denotes that it's a required field, and the underline denotes that there's actually a lookup behind the field. So if I were to go ahead and type in a case number, it'll go ahead and do a lookup against the case management system, and it'll pull back all relevant information from that case management system and fill out the eForm. So as we can scroll down through, we'll see that there is quite a lot of fields that have actually been filled out based on that lookup. This is very helpful for clerks when they're prepping forms before court the next day. They can easily just do one single lookup or a couple lookups to fill out all the pertinent case information, and then during court, they could then open this eForm back up and fill out all of the information about the court's proceeding. Today for the demo, I'm just going to walk you through the form filling as if we were a clerk doing it the day of. So as you can see, we filled out a lot of attorney information. All this can be stored sometimes in the case management system. Oftentimes it's not. It could be stored in another database somewhere else. We can pull data from either. We'll say that Mr. Steve Cannon is our attorney for petitioner plaintiff. And here we have a county lookup, and it's also required. A lot of the times we'll be implementing the solution for one specific county, so all of this information can actually be hard-coded so that the clerk doesn't have to fill it out. I'm going to pick on Santa Barbara today. And when I fill this out and hit tab, you can notice that we've standardized the inputs, and now it's all caps. And then behind the scenes, we're actually filling out all of the information from Santa Barbara, the court address, the court phone number. All of that information is being contributed to hidden fields behind the scenes. As we scroll on down through the form, you can see our petitioner and our plaintiff have already been filled out, or our petitioner and respondent. We do not have another party for this case. Down in the case information, there's a date, a department, who our judge is, and then there's a time section. There's a lot of different ways we can handle the times in a court scenario. A lot of the times this is the easiest way. We would contribute all of the different times available for the different court sessions, and we put them all in one single drop-down for the clerk to be able to pick. It's a really easy two-click method to fill out a time rather than having them type it. For our order to show cause, this is normally filed by one of the parties, and for the date filed, you could use our date picker, which is really easy to navigate between the different months and the different years. Or if the clerk knows it and doesn't want to use the date picker, he or she could just go ahead and fill it out. In our appearance sections, we have these little check boxes, so we'll say that our petitioner or plaintiff was present, and so was their attorney, and our respondent was present, but let's say they don't have an attorney. We won't have to fill that section out. So here's the court orders, and this is the section that would be filled out primarily during court. And the way that these judicial counsel forms work is that they have a lot of different forms for different aspects of the case. So if the court orders on custody and visitation, there's a form for that we can attach to this form. And so I'm going to scroll down a little bit further and show you our signatures and our submit button. If I were to click on this attorney's fees, for instance, it'll go ahead and attach that form to this solution. So now the clerk would have access to fill out that entire form as well. This is just a placeholder for the 346. I haven't built it for this demo. So we're going to turn that off, and we'll turn on the 344, and this is one that I actually have built. And now we can scroll down and see that that has all been contributed, and the petitioner, respondent, and case number have already been contributed. The clerk has already filled out those fields, so there's no need for them to refill out these fields. We can just copy that information and put it into the corresponding fields that are applicable. Down in the court orders section, a lot of these different checkboxes will toggle different sections. So this is the property restraining orders section. When you click yes, all of these become available. we're just going to click Respondent on all of these and move on. The Possession of Property section includes a table. So this is where we'll contribute information about what property was given to what entity. This table is very dynamic. It can be expanded to include more sections, and it can also be shrunk to only accommodate whatever sections you need. What's great about these tables is we can limit them to however the size of the output is, and we also have the option to add an attached document if there's not enough room on this form. So here we can easily go and select a file, grab our test image, and upload it to the form in a matter of seconds. And in this test file, let's say there's a whole bunch of other information about property and who it was supposed to be given to. Our next section is the payment of debt, and it's got the same type of table in a little different structure. And here we can designate that the user is going to have to pay $50 a month. And again, this table is also expandable and collapsible to meet your need. And there's another section here that would allow for an attachment if there's more information here that can't be captured in the table or that won't fit on the form. This is just a simple checkbox denoting that there's temporary orders, but then if there was more stipulations in court that needed to be written down, this other orders section can be expanded. This box can accommodate however much text the form will accommodate, the output form. We can actually display that back to the user as well. So now that we've filled out both of our forms here, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to sign as if I was Steve, which is our attorney. And we'll route this over to another queue for our judicial officer to sign. There's a lot of different ways we can handle signatures. As Glenn mentioned earlier, one way would be to have a completely different form, maybe that only includes this section here, show up for the clerk, the judge and the attorney. And we can also create the output PDFs too and show those to both the judicial officer and the attorney prior to them signing so that they can actually look at the output document. So now that we have this filled out, I'll go ahead and submit this on, and it'll go over to our judge queue. So I'll navigate back over to our assigned work, where we can look into the workflow, and I'll navigate to my judge's signature queue, where I'll be able to open the same form in its entirety, and as you can see, our attachment has been added to the batch as well. Now we'll have our judge sign. And the judge will then submit the form. So right now we're taking all of the information that the clerk, judge, attorneys have committed to this form, and we're extracting it and putting it into our final PDF output. And I'll open that just to show you what it looks like, what we've created today. We have our attachment and our two PDFs and the form in its entirety. You can easily look at our output PDFs, see that we have a file stamp with today's date and whatever clerk's signature. We can actually have clerk signatures on file and stamp them in based on whoever the clerk was who filled the form. And both of our signatures have been contributed. And over here we filled out all of our information about property and our payment debt. And right now, this batch is in a format where we can release it to your case management system or to your back-end repository. We could use web service calls to update your case management system through APIs. however you would like to do that. And that pretty much concludes my demo.
Today, we mostly spoke about the ILINX eForms for the courts, but I just wanted to point out before we move on to questions that the ILINX is a fully integrated enterprise content management suite of products. So if your court is currently running an older case management solution that may not offer document management capabilities, we can leverage other modules within the ILINX suite to enhance your current systems today.
We've had a few questions come in, and so we're going to cover some of them. If we don't get to your question, please, we'll reach out to you, or feel free to contact Glenn or anyone at ImageSource and that you have contact with, and we'll make sure your questions get answered. So we'll start with the first one. I think this one is probably best answered by Andrew. So the question is, how hard is it for an internal IT department to build out these forms in-house, or do they have to be built by ImageSource?
No, the way we designed this product, we tried to make it as easy as possible for our users to be able to create these forms. With a little bit of training, I have full confidence that your IT department would be able to develop these forms.
Can you expand on the interface?
It's actually a graphical user interface, so it's very easy, drag and drop fields. It's a very easy wizard-like way to create a form.
Thanks, Andrew. The second question, we currently use Tyler Odyssey for our case management system. Have you integrated your eForm package with Tyler for other courts?
I can answer that question. We have integrated with the Tyler case management systems. We've actually also worked with many other case management systems as well. Over our 20-year history, ImageSource has integrated ILINX offerings with hundreds of legacy business applications. So regardless of whatever case management solution of choice, we're fairly confident that we can make it work in that environment.
Thanks, Glenn. Next question. We currently have an older CMS, which we're seeking to replace in the next few years. Can we utilize your eForm solution with our current CMS solution? And could we migrate it to the new CMS solution once we decide to make that change? Who'd like to take that? Debbie?
Yeah, no, I can definitely answer that. Actually, we've had this scenario come up where we have a court that we work with that was on our eForms product for years, and when they did move to a new case management system, wanted to continue using the eForms that they had in the court today. So we were able to basically make updates on the back end of the solution. So it can be done. It's not without any effort. We do need to integrate with the new case management system. So we had to work with the new APIs for the new case management system and do some work on the back end with the workflows to make updates. But the good thing for the court is that the eForm itself didn't really have to change. It was all of those changes happened on the back end so that we could then integrate with their case management system and attach it directly to the case and make those same updates that we were making, or new updates if that's what they wanted with their new case management system. So yes, it can be, we can build the eForms today and your current case management system can use it, and then we would be able to transfer that in the future. Like I said, there'd be a little bit of effort to do that, but it's certainly possible.
Thank you, Debbie. So to keep things short here, we're going to move along. And if you have, like I said, if you have more questions, please reach out. Glenn, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So I'll be sending a link to this recorded version of this webinar via email. So be looking for that. And please, we encourage you to share that with your colleagues and other court professionals you know. And then we're going to have another webinar coming up that you may be interested in, and it's going to focus on technology solutions to overcome the burden of public records requests. We're hearing a lot of that from our government customers that they have that issue. So that should happen hopefully early in the first quarter of 2019. We'd love to hear from you through any of our channels. Feel free to call us, email, connect on one of our social media outlets. Again, we'd love to talk to you. So we want to thank you again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.